and welcome to Sarah's Stamping Retreat. Today we're going to be using some of our pattern paper using some card sketches, and I'm going to do Kendra's card challenge number 15, and this is really nice either for if you're trying to use up some pattern paper or if you're a beginner card maker and you kind of want more of a formulaic way of making cards, because it uses 6 pieces of 6x6 pattern paper. So I'm going to go quite summary and use this Beach Babe from Pink and Main, and it shows you exactly where to cut them all. You've got all the 6 pieces, it shows you how to cut them, and then you've got 15 cards and it shows you where all the pieces of paper go on the cards. So it's a really nice way of using up those pattern papers. And also, if you decide to have a go and make the cards, I'll link the download that I've got here below, and you can then also enter it into the challenge on the Kendra's Card Challenge Facebook group, and there's so many prizes that you can win. So it's a nice little way of using up some of your pattern paper, making some gorgeous cards and having a chance of winning something as well. So I'm going to start with the cutting. So this is a double-sided paper pack with loads of different colours, and they're all quite busy prints, so I think I'm just going to take it at random and take the first 6 pages out of the pack. You could absolutely plan it more if you wanted to. So then I'm going to take them one at a time and cut them down. So I'm going to bring in my big trimmer today. I don't usually use this on screen because it's so big, but I want the nice cut that it gives. So the best way to start with cutting these is to find a cut that goes right the way either across or up the page. So I'm going to start on this line here. So I can see here it's 3 inches, so I want to cut my piece of paper into 2 3-inch pieces. So now I've got my 2 3-inch pieces, so I'll do this piece first. So I'm going to cut these 3 1-inch pieces off the bottom first. And then I've got this 3 by 3 inch square that I'm going to cut in half from corner to corner. So that's that side done. So now I'm going to cut off this 1-inch piece, and then I can cut this piece corner to corner as well. So then I've got all my pieces for the first piece of paper, so I'll put that to one side. So then we'll move on to this one, B. And for this one, the one that goes from either side to side or end to end is this here. So that's at 1 1/4 inches. I'm going to cut 1 1/4 inches off the end. So that's this piece. And then there's another piece here that's 1/2 inch. So I can just cut off that 1/2 inch as well. And this piece says optional for inside of cards, so it doesn't go on one of the card fronts. You can either get rid of it or put it on the inside of card. So then this is this piece here. So this is simple, just 3 cuts. So 1 at 1 3/4, 1 at 3/4, and then that will leave 3 1/2 inches in the middle. So this is the 1 3/4 inch piece. Then I'm going to do 3/4, and that will leave me with the 3 1/2 inch piece here. So that one was a really simple one. So then I'm coming on to this piece here, which is C, and obviously this is more complicated. So you can actually see that Kendra's put a little scissor mark on each one where she suggests you start. So we've got a line that goes all the way across here and a line that goes all the way across here. So I might actually start on this line here. So that's 1/4 inch. So I'm going to cut 1/4 inch off there. And then you can see there we've got 5 1/2 inches. So I just need to cut that bit off the end as well. And again, this tiny bit we're just going to dispose of. So then I want this 1-inch strip. And from this 1-inch strip, we want a 2 1/4 inch piece, 3 1-inch pieces, and a 3/4 inch piece. So I'm going to start with the 3/4 inch piece and work my way backwards, because it's easier, I think, to cut the smaller pieces first and leave the bigger piece. So there we've got 3/4 inch piece. Then I need 3 1-inch pieces. And then I'm left with a 2 1/4 inch piece. So one of these 1/4 inch pieces we need to cut in half from corner to corner. So then we've got those 2 triangles there. And then this 3/4 inch piece, I just need to cut a notch into the end of. So then we're left with this piece here. So then we've got this piece that goes all the way from one side to the other of that piece. So that's 1 1/4 inches. So you're always looking for the easy cuts that go from side to side. And you can see that one has a notch in the bottom as well. So I'm going to cut a notch in the bottom of here. I like to always just cut at the middle a little bit and then go from the corner into that middle cut. So then I've got a 4 3/4 inch square, which is this here. So I'm going to cut this piece off the top, which is 1 3/4 inches. So that's this piece here. So then we've got this rectangle here. So I want to cut down here. So we've got 1 3/4 inch piece and 2 1/2 inch pieces. So then the 2 1/2 inch pieces need the little notch in the bottom. And then this piece we need to cut into 2 1 1/2 inch pieces. So that's those 2 pieces there. And this is this square, so we just need to cut a 3-inch circle out of that. So I'll just die cut this like this. So then I've got my 3-inch circle. So then we're going to move on to D, which is again a much simpler one. So again, looking for that one that goes all the way across where the scissors are, we can cut off this piece here, which is a 1-inch piece. And this 1-inch piece, I need to cut 2 1/4 inches off. So then I've got these 2 pieces. So then I'm going to cut here and here. So that's 2 1/4 inches from this side and then 1 inch from this side. So then these are these 2 pieces. And then this piece, we need to cut off 3 1-inch pieces. And then this 2-inch piece that we're left with, we just need to cut a little notch into the bottom. Then we've got that. So then we've got E and F left. So with E, we're going to start here and we're going to cut a 1-inch piece off the side of it. And with that 1-inch piece, I need to cut 3 1-inch pieces off that. And then this piece at the bottom, we need to cut in half, so 1/2 inch. And then I need to cut a notch in the bottom of each of those as well. So then with my 3-inch squares, 2 of them stay the same, and then 1 of them I need to cut from corner to corner. So then I've got those 2 triangles. So now we've got this piece left, so I'm going to do this cut here, which is at 1 inch. Then we've got this piece left, so we're going to cut right up here, which is 2 1/4 inches. So this piece we can set to one side, and this piece we need to cut 2 1-inch slices off. So then we've got those 3 pieces. And then this is our final piece of paper. So we're going to cut 3/4 of an inch off the bottom of that. And then, so then that's this strip here, and we need to cut it at 1 1/4 inches. And then this bit needs a tail in this way. And this piece needs a tail in this way. So then across here, we're cutting it at 4 inches. And then at 1 1/4 inches to leave 3/4. So the 1 1/4 inch piece stays as it is. This piece we only need to be 4 3/4 inches long. So we just need to cut 1/2 inch off the end of that. So this teeny bit gets chucked. So you can see all the pieces that we're wasting are the most tiny little bits. And then with this one, we're going to cut 1/2 a 3-inch circle out of the top here. So I'm going to use this die, which is near enough 3 inches. And then I'm just going to die cut that. So now I've got my half circle with this piece cut out. So then there are all my piles of cut pieces, A, B, C, D, E, F. And now I'll use these sheets to go through. I'm going to sort out which pieces I need for each one. So for example, I can see for the first card, I need these 2 pieces from paper A, and those are these pieces here. And then it also tells you all of the sizes for the layers for the layouts as well. So I'm going to sort them into each card, cut the layers and come back. So now I've prepped all the cards and we're going to make them in tan. So each of the cards comes with a sketch like this and it tells you what you need to use. So this is paper A, for example. It tells you what size layers you need, and most of them have like an extra piece for you to add something on as well. So most of these cards we're just kind of going to layer together, not do much extra work. This first one's got quite a large area to fill here. So with this one I'm going to use this Layered Make-A-Wish confetti stencil set from Spellbinders. So I'm going to lay this on here, but I want to do the text in a different colour to these kind of bubbles around the outside. So I'm going to take that down where I want it, but then I'm also going to lay over this stencil, which is for one of the layers, and that will mean that I will only go through this Make-A-Wish bit, not through the bubbles. And I'm just going to do the first layer in black. And this is just an easy way, because it's a layering stencil, of masking off that area. But if you're using like a different type of stencil, you can always cover it over with a post-it note or something like that. And then I'm just going to clean the most of that black off. And then you get this piece in the set, which is like the mask of that. So then I can put that over there. So then I'm not going to get the other colours into the black bit. Not that it probably matters, because the other colours probably wouldn't even show up on the black bit, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I want to take colours from this. So I'm going to start off with a yellow. And I go with this maple yellow. So then this next outline one, I'm going to put on next. And then again I'm going to cover it with this to just do that outline. I'm going to use Rubelite ink for that outline. And inside of those A's do wiggle around a bit, so I could have probably been a bit more careful there. And then I'm going to move this mask over again. So this time I'm going to go in with Parrot for the circles. So now I'm going to add on this next one. I'm going to go in with the Pinkalicious ink. I don't have a mess this time and I'm being a bit lazy, so I'm kind of aware that I might get some pink into these holes. This time it fits in because this is actually the one that it came out of in the first place. And this time I'm going to use Stampin' Up! Coastal Cabana ink for the bubbles. And then the final one is this one. And for this one I'm going to use this pink diamond ink. I'm going to go over the whole thing in pink diamond ink. So then I've got this piece. So this was a 3 3/4 inch square layer, and this is a 3.5 inch square layer, the black. So let's just glue those together. So then we've got these two triangles that we cut from paper A. So that was originally our 3 inch square that we cut in half, and then I've created a 3 1/4 inch square from black cardstock and cut that in half. So then I can layer those up, and because it's double-sided paper, you can just kind of choose which one you're going to use. But I'm using the dots because I think they go nicely with the dots from on this. So then we've got our two pieces going from the corners. You can see that it's a bit big, so you could have it like that and you could chop off these corners, or I prefer to line it up so that this comes off the corner and then I'll just slice it off that little bit. So I'm going to add this so it exactly matches up with the corners of my card. I'll do the same on the other side. And then I'll just trim off these excess bits. So I'm going to add some foam tape to the back of here. So that's that first card done. So then this second card is made up of these 4 3x1 inch strips from paper A. So I'm going to just lay those out where I want them on my card blank. And I can glue those down. those are pieces of paper, and then we've got this 1 3/4 inch circle and a 2-inch layer. So that, thanks for helping me grow sentiment, is from this Propagation Garden Sentiments from Spellbinders. I think it's really nice to shop your stash and kind of use stuff you've got for these, but I also know that sometimes you just see something and you love it and you want it, you need it. So I'll link everything that I use below, and I do really appreciate it if you are shopping for something, if you use my links, because for a lot of the places that I link, I have affiliate links, which means that I earn a small commission when you buy through me, and that obviously just helps me to kind of keep my channel going and everything. So I do massively appreciate it when you do that. And then these little flowers, you'll see me use these a lot through the process of this video, are from this Stitched Floral Lattice background die set from Pocketful of Happiness. So these dies are all stuck together, so you cut 4 at a time. And I've cut them in black and pink so that I can get the insides in black. I'm going to pop those up on some little foam pads. So I'm putting the foam pad on the back first, adding the little middle on, and then them onto my card. And these flowers are obviously not on here, but I just felt like it needed something a little bit extra, and I thought these look really cute. Then there's that one done. So then for this card we've got this, so we've got paper A again, and we've got this these 2 triangles, so we'll glue those onto the card front. So then for the focal point, I decided to use this really useful set of FRAN'S dies, and I really like the fact that it's got loads of different shapes in it. So I've used the largest stitched oval along with this kind of zigzag edge one. So I've used the stitched one to cut from white, the zigzag edge one to cut from black, and then I've used this lattice one. I've cut it out of the green cardstock, and then I've die cut it again with the stitched oval die so that it fits on there. So then I've cut some pink flowers as well, so I'm going to add those on top of the green ones. So then I can cut these bits off here. I always like to turn things over when I'm cutting the edges off because it's easier to see where you're cutting then. And then I can use the excess of these ones to do the ones on the other side. So then you can see that that's already starting to look really pretty. So I'm going to add that onto my white oval. And then I'm going to add in the black dots into the middle of these ones. So I can glue that onto my black one. So I'll glue that to the front of my card. So then I've used this Pocketful of Happiness die set, which is the Stitched Rectangle Sentiments. So you can use, see I've used this thank you. And I've just cut it once out of pink cardstock, once out of black cardstock, and then I've just paper pieced the black thank you into the pink one. So I'm just going to pop that up on some foam pads. And again, that's another little addition to what we've got here, but it's nice sometimes just to add your own little things on. I think actually, even though I put those black in the middle of here, which I now didn't really need to, I'm going to pop that in the middle of here. I was originally going to put it here, but I think it looks nicer in the middle. So then there's that one done. So then for this fourth one, you can see that we've got paper B and paper C. It doesn't really matter which way they go because they're both the same size. I mean, check the different sides. I quite like that these are all really colourful, so I'm going to stick with the colourful sides. So we can glue those onto our card. And then this strip across here, it says is 5.5 inches by 1/4 inch. Now I have to say it's so nice doing this with these sketches because you know exactly where to cut everything. You're hardly wasting any. There's those tiny bits of paper that got wasted out of 6 whole sheets. It really makes the most of it. But I have to say it's so nice to have it done for you so you don't have to work out where everything goes yourself. So for this one, I've kept this really simple. So it says a 3" by 2" piece with a 3 1/4 by 2 1/4 inch layer. So I've kept this one really simple, and I've used this mini thanks stamp from Altenew, which I really love because the font is just so beautiful, and it's kind of a nice focal element on a card. You can see I do this all the time, like something doesn't stamp right, I just turn it over and use the other side. So you often see stuff on the back of my cards, because once you've done this, no one can tell. So I don't like to waste things where possible. Then I think I'm going to pop that up. Then that goes on here. And I think because it's such a lovely font, it makes a really nice focal point for the card. And then I'm going to use another one of these flowers, and that's just going to go where this star is on this one. And that's that one finished, a really nice simple one. So then for this one, we've got this 3 1/2" circle, and I decided to make that in the green colour that I've been using, and then just emboss it with this 3D embossing folder of the month from Spellbinders. This is the May one, but it's on their website, you can buy it still. So I've done this a few times through this process. I think there's about 3 of these that I've done with the same embossing folder. I just think it looks quite nice, and it goes nicely with the colours. It's got that kind of tropical vibe to it. So now you've got this piece that's from paper B, so that's 5 1/2 by 1 1/4. Then we've got a 5 1/2 by 1 1/2 piece of black cardstock, so let's glue those together. And then I'm going to glue on paper D. And then I'm going to pop this piece of paper C up, and I think I might use this pink side on this one. I think that looks nice on the pink side on this one. I think I'm going to pop it up just for a bit of dimension. And then I've got this happy birthday sentiment. I've chosen not to add the little tail bits into mine, and I'll use some foam strips for there. So I'm going to stick that on there, and then I can just glue this onto my card. I think that looks really cute, but I've decided to add some of these flowers on as well. I've used the reverse for these ones, the black flowers with the pink centre. Then there's that card finished. So then the final card for this page is this one. So for this we've got our card blank, then we've got a 3 3/4 by 5" layer which I've cut from black. Then we've got our paper B, which is 3 1/2 by 4 3/4 inches. So let's glue those together. So then for the circles, I've got a 2 1/4" circle which I cut in white. Then we've got our paper C circle, which is a 3" one, and then we've got a 3 1/4" one which I've cut from black. So I'm going to layer those up. Then I've heat embossed this happy birthday on a 3 3/4 by 1/2 inch strip of black cardstock. And I put that up on some foam strips. And then to finish this off, I'm going to use one of these really beautiful Summer Day Butterfly dimensional stickers from Spellbinders. And I just think they are so pretty. I think that butterfly just really finishes that off nicely. Then we can move on to the next sheet, and the first one is this one. So here it says that you've got a 4 3/4 by 3 1/2 inch piece, and I've done that in white, and it says use a decorative edge. Now I've used that FRAN'S die set that we used for the ovals earlier, and I've just put it through like this, so that I just get that decorative edge on the one side. So that's how I've got this edge here. So I'm going to glue that to the front of my card. Then I've got paper B and paper F, so those are both 4 3/4 by 3/4 inch strips, and I've got black strips to go behind them that are 4 3/4 by 1 inch strips. So I'm going to glue those together. So then I'm going to glue those onto my card. So then there's this 2-inch circle with 2¼ layer. Now I don't have any scalloped circles, so I've just used 2 straight circles, a white and a black. And then I want to use this hello on top of there to be my sentiment. And that's from this really lovely A Little Hello sentiment set. So you actually get 3 layers of the sentiment, but I'm only using the first 2. And then you get these sentiment stamps as well. So my original plan was to do this on white, but actually I thought that with quite a lot of white on this card, it might be nice to heat emboss it in white onto black cardstock, so I'm going to do that. So this is quite nice because you can stamp all of the sentiments at once. So I can stamp that on there. I'm going to use my bright white Superfine Wow embossing powder. And then I can use this coordinating die to cut them all out, so it all get cut out at once like that. So then I'm going to glue the pink bit of the hello onto the black bit. Then I'm going to glue the 2 circles together. So I think I'm going to use this a little. So I'm going to pop the circles up on foam pads. So that's great fun. I really like the font of that hello. So then we've got another card with a circle on it. So this is a 3½ inch circle. And again, I used that embossing folder that I used on the previous card. So I'm going to glue that on first for this card. Then we've got this from paper C that is 1¼ by 4¾ inches. And then we've got this one from paper F. So that is 4¾ by 3/4 of an inch. Then we've got this little piece of paper F up here as well. So that's just this little banner. And then I've created this happy birthday to you sentiment. That is 1/2 inch by 3¾ inches. And it's just layered on a black banner 1/4 inch bigger. And I pop that up for a bit of dimension. And then again, I'm just going to add some of these flowers. I think these are just the right size for kind of just adding something a little bit extra to the card. So there's that card. So then for this next card, we've got this piece of paper F that is 1¼ by 5¼ inches and a piece of black cardstock 1/4 inch bigger. It goes down there. And then I've done the exact same with the exact same embossing folder on this one. So then we've got all these tabs. They're paper E, paper C, and then you've got this one that's just plain coloured paper, then paper E and paper C again. I think I might actually switch mine round so it's kind of symmetrical. So then I'm popping the sentiment up on some foam tape. So this is 3 by 1/2 inch. Obviously you can change all these dimensions if you have a sentiment that doesn't fit on that you want to use or something like that. So that goes just there. And then again, I wanted to add some of these flowers just to add a bit of kind of like a fun element. And I think like my partner's mom uses a lot of my cards. So things like that, if I give her something like this, it's quite nice for it to look like a set. It's got the same flowers running throughout. It just like goes together quite nicely as a gift. It's quite good really because she sends a lot more cards than I do. So there we go, that's that one done. So then for this next card, we've got a 4 by 5¼ inch layer. So I add that to my card. Then I'm going to add on my pattern papers. So we've got this piece from paper E and this piece from paper D. And then I've chosen to use a pink strip here where it says 3¾ by 3/4 inch strip. And then black for the 3¾ by 1/4 inch strip. So let's glue those together. So then we've got a 1 3/4 inch circle, which I've done in white, to layer on top of a 2-inch circle. And my circles aren't exactly the right size, they're just roughly the right size. So I'm going to add that to my card. And then I want to add on this lime green butterfly. And for me, this is a really good use. There's a few of these that I could have used, but this is a really good use of this because I don't very often use lime green in my card making. So it's the perfect way to use this when I am using lime green. So then I can just stick that onto there. So I'm going to move this sentiment slightly further down than it shows on here, just so to make room for my butterfly. Then there's that one done. So then for this next one, I've decided to use this teal card blank, and we've got a 5 by 3 3/4 inch layer. So I've chosen to do that in white. Then we've got our piece of paper E, and that goes on here. And then for this one, it says to use 5 1/4 inch strips so that you can lay it over that seam. I mean, you could just cut the paper 1/4 inch wider, but this kind of suited me because I'd got some strips of paper anyway. And this gives a nice bold border, which is quite nice. So then we've got this piece of paper D that goes down here. So then I've used this Hello again. I really like the font on that one. I'm going to glue that together. I've used it in the same colours as well, the pink on the black. I'm really loving the bright colours in this paper. It was actually a free gift when I placed an order on scrapbook.com. So then we've got a 2 3/4 by 1 1/4 inch piece of white cardstock with a 3 by 1 1/2 inch layer. So then I'm going to add my Hello onto there. So I'm going to pop this up on here. And then I'm just going to use this to a dear friend, which is one of the sentiments that we heat embossed earlier. And then I'm going to use these black enamel dots to go up here. Then there's that card done. So the final card on this sheet, this one over here. By the way, the cardstock that I've been using for the bases, the pink is Fruit Punch and the tealy colour is Lagoon, both from Spellbinders. Just thought I'd let you know because they match really well with these papers in case you're following along. So we've got our paper D. I have to say as well, this paper from Pink and Main is a really nice quality. I've not had any of their papers before, it's lovely. So then I'm going to add those to my card. So I've just added on the sentiment and the 3 flowers. So moving on to the next sheet. So we've got this one here, which obviously has quite a lot of elements to it. So we're going to start with this panel down here. So we've got a 5 1/2 by 2 1/2 inch piece of cardstock, and I'm going to add on these pieces. So we've got paper E, paper C, paper D, paper E, and then for this one I've added in some lime green cardstock. So I'm going to just lay them out to get the spacing first. And I've decided to use this side of this piece this time because it kind of goes with the other ones better. So then I can add that panel onto my card. Then we've got this strip here, which is from paper C, and I've used a black piece of cardstock to back that. So the black piece is 5 1/2 by 1/2 inch. So then we've got the half of a circle that we cut from paper F, and then this circle, and then the black circle is a 3 1/4 inch circle that I've cut in half. So that goes on the edge there, and then we can pop this across. So there's that one done. Then we've only got 2 cards left, so we've got this one. So that uses up all these little squares that we cut from paper C, paper D, paper E, and the little half squares as well. So I'm going to add these squares on first. So I'm going to glue on these squares. So I'm just going to trim the excess off the back. So then I've got these two pieces of paper from paper C. I'm going to pop those across there. And then I'm going to add some fine pair to the back of my sentiment. So it's a 2.5 by 3/4 of an inch panel. So then I'm going to add that to my card base. So then I've got some more flowers. I'm sure that's not going to shock you at this point. I'm just going to pop those on those little joins there. Then there's that one. So then the final card is this one. Obviously, as I said before, I don't have these scalloped circle dies. So it says here, variation, add two 1.25 by 2.25 inch triangles for a masculine card. So I cut a 1.25 by 2.25 inch rectangle and split it. So I've got this piece, which is the pattern paper from Paper F. And I thought I'd use the stripy side because that's quite a nice kind of shirt type one, there's stripes. So then I'm going to glue these on like this. And actually what I should have done first is to add on this piece here. So I'm going to need to add that on and just kind of poke it under that collar. So then I've got this thank you sentiment, which is obviously the opposite of the one that we used earlier. We used the pink with the black, and so I put the black into the pink for this one. So that goes down there. And then just got those buttons down there. So I'm just going to use some enamel dots for mine. I think I might add 5 onto mine. And I think that makes a really cute little thank you card for like if someone's giving you some clothes or something like that. It's really sweet. So I'm going to bring all these cards in one by one so that you can see them, because once they're laid out you won't be able to see them very well individually. So then there are all 15 of today's cards. I think it's a really nice way to use up 6 sheets of 6x6 cardstock. So like I said, I will link to the download below so you can have a go yourself. I'd love to know which is your favourite card. Please do let me know in the comments below. I really hope that you've enjoyed making the cards with me. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate you clicking like, and you can also press subscribe if you'd like to see future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when I've got a new video available. All of the products that I use for today's cards are listed in the description below, and there's also a link there to my blog where you can find a picture supply list if that helps you find what you're looking for. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.